Welcome back. It took me longer to do these videos just because I've been working with sound design. So I hope you enjoy this video, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Amid escalating tensions, Prince Arel sought a private moment with Dia, arranging to talk with her in her room. He apologized, acknowledging the situation she found herself in, but Dia didn't mind and understood. Noticing that her room was relatively empty, Prince Arel assumed it was because she had just arrived. Just then, Dia voiced her misunderstanding that, as an exclusive mage, an inspection of her abilities and qualifications was inevitable, mainly because it was the complete image of the famed Prince Arel. However, Prince Arel didn't mind who he hired personally. After all, he could tell if they were truthful or not. It was Princess Kania who was resistant to hiring an exclusive mage. Dia understood that the issue resulted from an incident involving a dark mage. Prince Arel, taken aback, asked if Princess Kania had informed her of it. Dia revealed that it wasn't Princess Kania who told her. Instead, the event had been well known in the Magic Tower. Following that incident, a wave of mistrust towards the mages swept through the noble circles, causing a noticeable decrease in their income. The Magic Tower even issued a policy instructing students to eliminate any dark mage they might encounter without a second thought. After listening to Dia, Prince Arel tried to comfort her, assuring her he could persuade the princess of her goodwill. However, Dia wasn't interested in Prince Arel's involvement, as she was determined to prove her capabilities as a mage on her own terms. Curious, Prince Arel questioned her about her insistence on being his personal mage, and why she had addressed him as gracious during their initial encounter. Dia then began unveiling her belief in Prince Arel's gracious nature. It is a long story that started when Dia was a young girl. She lost her family during a devastating plague that erased her village from the map. She was left alone to fend for herself, surviving in the cold, harsh environment. As she thought her end was near, a wandering mage extended a helping hand, offering her sanctuary. Prince Arel quickly gathered that the Magic Tower must have spotted a glint of talent for Manwha within her, a well-known recruiting process for orphans with the potential to groom them into adept mages. It was then that Dia learned that she could learn magic. However, she needed to be better. Unable to meet the rigorous expectations set by the tower, she was branded a failure, where she spent her days doing odd jobs and forgotten. This news baffled Prince Arel, given Dia's current mastery as a mage. Dia then revealed that up until 2 years ago, she had held the rank of a first-class mage, surprising Prince Arel even more with her swift progression to a 4th-class mage. As Dia recounted her tale, she spoke of the immense obstacles she encountered while attempting to manage her mana using only the Magic Tower's theories. However, her fate was forever altered when she discovered a book written by Prince Arel in the library's depths. This unexpected turn of events surprised Prince Arel so much that he nearly fell out of his seat. As Dia tested the theories within its pages, she revolutionized her approach to mana manipulation, skyrocketing from a novice to a formidable 4th-class mage in 2 years. This unprecedented growth left even Prince Arel slightly amazed. His humble book had ignited the hidden talent within her, saving her from a potential life of cleaning and making sandwiches for the rest of her life. To Dia, Prince Arel was nothing short of a savior, a beacon of light that guided her out of the dark well she was in. With a newfound resolve, she severed ties with the garbage-like Magic Tower and her self-proclaimed master. A man who offered her little, but was quick to claim credit for her rapid growth as a 4th-class mage. Despite the fury that marked her departure, Dia harbored no guilt. Her growth was her achievement, and the book that unlocked her potential was through the guidance brought by Prince Arel. Dia resented that her master had boastfully taken credit for her accomplishments, bragging about his role in her rapid growth. But Dia remained committed to seeking out the prince, who had inadvertently become her mentor through his book. However, her zeal led her on a slightly misguided adventure, as she found herself on an entirely different continent, lost at sea and in the desert. A mistake that Prince Arel found predictable and commonplace, given the lack of experience that new mages have in the real world. Navigating through her newly discovered world, Dia finally caught wind of Prince Arel recruiting mages in Thalia, and without a moment's hesitation, she threw her hat into the ring. For her, Prince Arel was more than a royal figure. He was the beacon that guided her to her true potential, the genuine master who had given her the keys to unlock her latent talents. Prince Arel suggested that a heart-to-heart conversation with Princess Cania might clear the air. Yet, Dia refused and wanted to be known for her skills rather than for sympathy, and for being embarrassed to recount her entire story in detail to Princess Cania. Recognizing the complexity of Dia's view, Prince Arel vowed to keep her secret safe, sending her forth with blessings and well wishes. Later that night, a wave of curiosity filled the air. Prince Arel had called Pian to ask about a case of a mage getting promoted to the 4th class in just 2 years. To his surprise, the name Dia Reki was well known, as well as her no-good master. Although Dia improved her skills, she left the magic tower with the risk of receiving a punishment. Surprising Prince Arel about the possible punishments, Pian told him how mages were in a binding contract that guarded the mystique and secrets of the magic tower. A breach of this agreement would come at a high price that would break half of the mage's magic circle, instantly turning them back into a low-level wizard. After that call, Prince Arel was amazed by how far Dia would go to serve him, knowing the penalty she would receive. In his mind, he knew he had to do something, so he decided to give one more person a call, asking for a favor. As the sun rose, beginning a new day, the royal grounds became the stage for a fight. Prince Arel was filled with a worried look. Following Princess Cania and Dia, he knew they meant business, and were here to settle things. With determination, Princess Cania raised her sword. In her eyes, a duel was the only way Dia could prove herself loyal to Prince Arel. As Prince Arel's heart raced, just thinking about a sword master challenging a 4th class mage to a duel was comparable to a bear versus a weasel. Dia was ready to accept Princess Cania's aggressive terms. The princess intended to gauge Dia's sincerity through this trial of combat, determined to unravel the mystery of Dia's unwavering allegiance to the prince. As Dia prepared her spell, Prince Arel scrambled to prevent the showdown. In desperation, he asked Asha and Sena to intervene. However, they feigned ignorance, as they could not stop their fight. The atmosphere tensed further, as Prince Arel just submitted to watching the fight. Just then, he noticed something lurking in the bushes. Dia was ready to start the fight, her spell ready manifesting. Princess Cania stood prepared to face Dia, her aura radiating with determination. A mage and knight ready to fight with all their might. Suddenly, Prince Arel realized that Dia's spell was not offensive magic. Dia used something different, and aimed it right toward the bushes. Meanwhile, Princess Cania moved with fierce determination as she launched her scabbard toward the mysterious figure, causing the sheath to explode. Prince Arel was amazed that Princess Cania used her scabbard and detonated it like a grenade. And as the dust subsided, the scene took an unexpected turn. Princess Cania and Dia's gaze locked onto a figure concealed within the bushes, which Dia recognized all too well, her self-proclaimed master from the magic tower. As the concealed figure in the bushes was none other than Dia's previous mentor, the Rotten Mage, the issue revolving around the incident was coming to a close. Prince Arel, observing the situation, was surprised when Dia and Cania found him instead. The Rotten Mage quickly showed his identification to prove that his intentions were not suspicious. Glaring at Dia, he was keen on taking her back to the magic tower, and complained about being attacked upon arrival. Dia, however, pointed out that her experiences under his guidance consisted merely of menial tasks, far from the mentorship one would expect, as she openly dismissed any acknowledgement of a master-disciple relationship between them. The Rotten Mage got triggered and angrily accused Dia of causing an avalanche of issues ever since her disappearance, and claimed that even the leader of the magic tower had given him trouble after she had left. Prince Arel interrupted and called him a failure because his only successful disciple, Dia, had grown on her own strengths rather than through his guidance. Irritated, the rotten mage grabbed Dia's wrist to drag her away, upset about Prince Arel's lack of manners. He assured everyone present that a complaint would be filed for his mistreatment, and Dia would face severe consequences for leaving the magic tower. Yet, before further threats could be made, Prince Arel intervened, firmly slapping the instructor's grip. The prince rejected any notion of Dia's departure, establishing her as a contractually bound, irreplaceable, exclusive mage. Furthermore, Prince Arel revealed that he had made an official inquiry to the magic tower the previous day, safeguarding Dia's position by his side. In a fit of fury, the rotten mage criticized Prince Arel, citing the unbending rules of the magic tower, which assured that no decisions could be made without a master's permission. The rotten mage's nerve ticked off the prince. He made it clear that Dia Reki was the exclusive mage of the Fahelia territory, and there wasn't much he could do about it. Prince Arel strongly advised the rotten mage to exit the castle grounds immediately, warning him of what may happen if he stays. The rotten mage, helpless, refused to return empty-handed after his difficult journey. In a desperate and reckless act, he dropped a handful of magic crystal balls, summoning imposing golems to aid his quest to abduct Dia. The rotten mage was annoyed but hoped that if he could bring back Dia, then he would be protected by the magic tower. Prince Arel, unbothered, sent out a simple command and ordered Asha and Sena to teach him and his golems a lesson. Alongside Princess Kania, they skillfully and effortlessly dismantled the towering golems, asserting the might and fury of Falia. In the heat of the battle, the rotten mage's desperate efforts only confirmed his defeat. As Prince Arel observed the falling golems, he anticipated confronting a formidable 7th-class mage. To his surprise, the rotten mage was only a 5th-class mage, a revelation that Prince Arel found absurd. Faced with no other alternatives, the desperate, rotten mage saw one last gamble for survival. He sent a golem to seize Prince Arel. However, this ploy was swiftly dismantled by Dia's vigilant guard. She obliterated the advancing golem with a blinding flash of her lightning bolt spell, ensuring the prince's safety and proving her worth and loyalty. Her focus then sharply turned toward the rotten mage. Dia jumped into the air and conjured Gust of Wind, destroying the remaining golems. Asha and Sena were fighting. The spell then trapped the rotten mage in a vortex of swirling air, immobilizing his movements and stifling his desperate escape attempts. With the rotten mage safely trapped within the whirlwind's embrace, Prince Arel considered permanently incapacitating him. However, as they closed in on the rotten mage, he swiftly tore a piece of paper, revealing it as an emergency escape teleport scroll. A surge of light enveloped him, whisking him away to safety instantly. Disbelief, Asha was keen on chasing after him. Still, Prince Arel held her back from the pursuit and assured her he would file a complaint to the magic tower regarding the unfolding events. After the battle, Dia approached Prince Arel, remorseful. She apologized for the events caused by her personal affairs. Prince Arel, with a comforting smile, urged her to cast aside her guilt, assuring her the blame did not lie with her. The recent incident had dissolved the cloud of suspicion that Princess Kania and others had held against Dia. The prince unraveled the confusion knitting Dia's brows, explaining their awareness of her self-proclaimed master's sneaky movements in the vicinity. The confrontation between Dia and her instructor served as a stage to demonstrate her unwavering loyalty to Prince Arel, a spectacle he had arranged for all to witness. Her valiant victory not only fortified her allegiance, but also silenced any lingering whispers of doubt about her intentions. With her honor restored, there remained a single task for the prince. Beneath the moon's glow, the humiliated rotten mage, out of breath, cornered in the dense forest of Falia. His lips, seething with curses and promises to capture Dia, abruptly ended as an unexpected voice echoed, questioning the outcome should he fail to recapture Dia a second time. Taken aback, the rotten mage prepared to unleash a spell, demanding to know who lurked within the shadows. The obscured figure, deeming their identity irrelevant, abruptly launched their attack, A volley of fiery arrows burst forth, searing through the dark forest. The figure stepped out from the shadows, revealing himself as Prince Arel. Disappointed that the rotten mage could not withstand his magic, he had hoped for a more extended practice of his abilities. In Prince Arel's view, the rotten mage had been treated too leniently. He firmly believed that his existence was not needed for Dia's peace. Completing his task, a veil of fatigue washed over Prince Arel. He harbored concerns that Princess Kanya and the others would detect his absence. Days drifted by and Prince Arel was focused on writing within the quiet library when a book gently floated toward him. Startled, he assured Dia that she was now exempt from fulfilling his trivial requests. Despite this, Dia declined the prince's offer, mentioning that she had already obtained approval. The recent event had effectively dissolved the cloud of suspicion that once enshrouded her. Princess Kanya even permitted the use of magic, but not to indulge it with Prince Arel's laziness. Dia inquired about his comfort with her continued role as his exclusive mage, and Prince Arel reiterated his stance. The incident with her instructor had not been her creation, and her unyielding respect towards him was unexpected yet appreciated. For Dia, past and present merged in the consistent presence and support of Prince Arel. He stood, as the benefactor she held in the highest regard, a steadfast figure alongside her in times of need. Amidst the multiple reincarnations that marked Prince Arel's existence, this 101st life unfolded events and emotional ties that he never anticipated. Vast in the embrace of the impeccable weather, a deep tranquility washed over Prince Arel. The day presented itself as an idyllic opportunity to refine his magical abilities, unleashing the formidable spells: Chain Lightning, Blizzard, Ice Storm, Fire Wall. With satisfaction blooming within him, Prince Arel admired the beautiful view before him. He was confident in his abilities, knowing his hard work had paid off. In just a month, he had risen to become a 6th-class mage and secretly considered himself a genius. He knew that if his fellow mages learned about his quick rise to the top, they would be frustrated or doubtful. The remote area where he practiced his magic was untouched and peaceful, allowing him to focus on his training without any distractions. Yet amidst the tranquility, a lingering thirst for challenge haunted the prince's thoughts. The absence of formidable beasts within the vicinity cast a shadow of longing on his training. With an unnerving grin, Prince Arel considered starting his plan. In his tender years, Prince Arel's first encounter with his aunt, Queen Elia, left a bitter taste. Her gaze dripped disdain, viewing him no more than a wriggling caterpillar. Despite his efforts to evade her spitefulness, the young prince found himself constantly oppressed and demeaned, even in the presence of his own mother. In the clutches of frustration, Prince Arel decided enough was enough. The time had come for Queen Elia to taste the bitterness of what Prince Arel had to offer. Before him stood Prash Castle, the home of Queen Elia's parents. As he drew closer, a noticeable intrusion warning barrier was in his view, a challenge he had anticipated. As a pro in his past life, Prince Arel knew only specific mana waves were allowed to pass through. Without a second to spare, he immediately slipped right through the barrier. Looking closer at the Prash Castle, the wealth and status were evident. Compared to the concubine's castle where Lady Livana stayed, the Prash Castle was more extensive and luxurious. As he invoked a potent fire spell, a tide of satisfaction surged within him, his heart pulsating with the adrenaline. The saying "the bigger it is, the harder it falls" was about to happen. The sprawling castle, now at the mercy of roaring flames, was quickly enveloped in chaos. The guards and staff, caught in the unexpected maelstrom, scrambled as the fierce inferno devoured the castle with unyielding hunger. Amidst the chaos, Prince Arel relished in the upheaval. comparing it to the fireworks of his grand unveiling. Inside, Duke Desil Prash received word of an unidentified explosion in the sky and was ordered to evacuate quickly. He followed the orders alongside the staff, concerned that someone intended harm to their family. Unbeknownst to them, they were oblivious to Prince Arel's presence as he snuck into the castle, concealed by spells of invisibility and silence. The prince silently pleaded with them to leave quickly, illuminating that his grand entrance's secondary objective was to ignite their warehouses. Prince Arel continued his campaign of terror, crossing paths with the vassals of the Prash Duchy. He took pleasure in their unease and mocked them silently. He cursed them with a common flu, calculated to affect them long after his devastating assault was over. As Prince Arel walked through the grand castle corridors, he was determined to leave with something of value. With an intense curiosity for the castle's treasure vault, he broke the lock and pushed open the grand doors. He was in awe of the magnificent view. Before him, a colossal mound of glittering gold and shining treasure stretched as far as the eye could see. As he rested upon the mound of golden coins, Prince Arel readied himself to teleport away with the treasure, fully aware of how Queen Elia would act upon discovering their vanished riches. But before departing, he placed a special note in the chamber. As the Duke was escaping, one of his servants approached him with a letter that had been found inside their vault. The servant suspected the letter had been intentionally left behind by the person responsible for the current siege. After reading the letter, the message only deepened the confusion among the Prash family, leaving them puzzled about the true meaning behind the cryptic words. The news first reached the ears of Queen Elia. Collapsing in shock, she anxiously asked about her father's condition after reading the letter. Her maid reassured her that her father remained unharmed, and only a few others had sustained minor burns. Despite this assurance, Queen Elia fought to regain her composure, her mind swirling to understand who could orchestrate such a vile act. When the king received news of the attack on a noble family, he insisted on a thorough investigation to identify the perpetrator. As the investigators collected evidence, they assumed the culprit possessed considerable magical abilities, was at least a 6th class mage, and probably worked with a group of 5 or more mages, pointing their fingers toward the dark mage, similar to Princess Cania's incident. Further reports filtered in, each sketching a more alarming image, indicating an emerging crisis blossoming in the aftermath of the ferocious blaze. The entire lineage of the Prash family was now bedridden, amplifying the severity of the situation and escalating the accumulating damages. Witnessing the disheartening series of events, a growing shadow of despair cast itself upon Queen Elia's face. The painful sight of her family's empire, built over generations, gripped her heart with a cold hand of disbelief. Yet, amid the internal turmoil, Queen Elia intended to uncover the culprit behind the chaos and ordered her maid to find the culprit. However, the maid advised Queen Elia to proceed cautiously, emphasizing the looming possibility that she might become the next target in this sinister plot. The news about the Prash family's distressing circumstances quickly spread everywhere. Asha examined the reports and discovered that Prash's situation had deteriorated. Even their loyal supporters hesitated to help with rebuilding due to fear of being targeted next. Princess Cania received word of the mansion's complete destruction and the total loss of their possessions. This update highlighted the severity of their predicament. Despite their high status providing some buffer against total ruin, the substantial and abrupt loss weakened the Prash family. While Princess Cania and Asha wrestled with the disheartening news, Prince Arel's demeanor stood in stark contrast. He agreed to Asha's warnings to exercise caution, citing the unpredictable and frightening nature of terrorist attacks in this scary world. Amidst this, Prince Arel harbored a cynical thought, sending a donation to the Prash Duchy to express his condolences. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. Prince Arel, alongside the town's inhabitants, marveled at the prosperous roll of the Manwha house. The previous worry about food had disappeared like mist under the sun's rays. As the residents surveyed their land, tears welled in the eyes of many, their hearts brimming with unexpected joy at the sight of a bountiful harvest in the otherwise barren, frost-kissed terrain. They even noticed that the grains from the harvested crops were now unusually plump, doubling in size. Gratitude toward Prince Arel rustled through the crowd. A soft breeze of words whispered amid the golden fields. The prince modestly deflected the praise, declaring that the accomplishment was not his but to the devoted mages, who had worked endlessly throughout the months, fine-tuning the magical tools to optimal precision. Prince Arel felt a sense of serenity wash over him as he observed the magical tool. The problems of the Prash family were no longer his concern, as their focus had shifted to issues outside of his territory. Thalia had found a newfound stability, and Prince Arel hoped that this peaceful life would continue for a long time. 50 years ago, after a major war, 3 countries gained supremacy, also known as the 3 Great Powers: Arnesia Kingdom, Merman Empire, and the Dimenil Kingdom. Among them, the Dimenil Kingdom had less power than the other 2 countries. Still, it gained an advantage by playing one kingdom against another. During the Chancellor's banquet at Dimenil Kingdom, a lord celebrated and enjoyed feasting on newly acquired products from Arnesia, including Prince Arel's Fizzy Ade. One of the guests had prepared a gift just for the lord. As his maid presented this bottle, it contained a precious elixir that could only be acquired in the Arnesia Kingdom. This elixir is a remarkable ointment that offers a permanent solution to hair loss through a simple application. Despite the potential cost, the gift to the lord was to alleviate his concerns, and mentioned that a large order had already been placed. The lord expressed deep appreciation and inquired what he could do in return. The guest politely declined, only expressing concern for his son's upcoming job with the Ministry of Internal Affairs. With an eerie smile, the lord assured the guest that there was no reason to worry, and strongly hinted that he would remember the kind gesture and favorably consider the gentleman's son in the future. Recently, goods from the Arnesia Kingdom have surged in popularity within the borders of the Dimenil Kingdom. Most of these products were entering the kingdom illegally. That same year, at the Dimenil's royal conference room, the king of Dimenil, Luzia Rutania, demanded evidence from his subjects, suspecting goods from the Arnesia Kingdom were secretively entering his domain. Whispers had reached him that these products were now the highlight of grand banquets, showcased as exotic specialties. Duke Elgizan, the king's right-hand man, gently urged his majesty to regain his composure. He acknowledged the tangible tension threading through King Rutania's words, concerned about his kingdom's direction. Predictions painted a grim tapestry. They estimated that the balance would be disrupted entirely within 5 years if the illegal smuggling continued. The economic gap between the 3 powers had not been noticeable, but the stability had finally shifted. This was all because Prince Arel kept producing specialty products. The Merman Empire also lodged official protests against paper products, arguing that the development method differed from that of Merman's paper. King Rutania wondered if there was a way to reduce the gap between the kingdoms, as Duke Elgizan informed the king that the kingdom must not fall behind, suggesting that force could be necessary to prevent it. King Rutania was filled with worry, fully aware of the powerful force of the opposing nation. He recognized the formidable challenge that lay in defeating them. Yet, Duke Elgizan presented a solution, suggesting they could align with potential allies. This united front could effectively undermine the Arnesia Kingdom, offering a glimmer of hope amidst the uncertainty of conflict. Thus, the Dimenil Kingdom secretly sent letters to 3 places seeking an alliance. Within the concealed chambers of the Dimenil Kingdom's underground meeting room, Duke Elgizan greeted their distinguished guests, united by a shared purpose. The first to enter was the representative from the Merman Empire, Duke Yuan. Following him was Count Merlin Benstad, the envoy from the Sejepan Kingdom. Despite the Seljukan dukedom's absence from the ranks of the three great countries, its prowess in warfare was undeniably significant. Notably absent was the representative from the Holy Nation, a realm founded upon religious principles. Duke Huan relived this absence, preferring their exclusion from the discussions. Nonetheless, Duke Elgizan clarified the situation, noting that the Holy Nation also viewed the Ernisia kingdom as a vexing impediment, ensuring the Holy Nation would not reveal their secret. As the secret meeting unfolded, Duke Elgizan outlined the plan to oppose the Ernisia kingdom. Given its recent financial dominance, the rest of the nations could no longer overlook its influence. Count Merlin expressed his concerns regarding defeating Ernisia. He understood that if they failed, there was no turning back. In response to these apprehensions, Duke Elgizan repeated the imperative of their united alliance. By subduing Ernisia through collective military might, they could halt the kingdom's production of worthless goods, at least for a considerable period, thus hindering its growing influence and economic dominance. Rumors had swirled about the youngest prince's extraordinary abilities. Whispers alleged that at the tender age of 8, he was already deliberating state affairs, innovating products, and had breathed life back into a desolate territory at 14. Although skepticism shrouded these extraordinary claims, the assembled leaders couldn't afford to underestimate the prince, whose continuing achievements promised to cement Ernisia's supremacy. Duke Elgizan urged immediate action, unwilling to allow Ernisia any further ascendance. His proposition was unyielding: plunge Ernisia into the throes of war, or eliminate the prince, ensuring the kingdom's vulnerability. In the somber silence that ensued, the representatives from both kingdoms ultimately concurred with Duke Elgizan's assertive strategy. Within the grand chambers of the Ernisia Kingdom Royal Palace, a message arrived, confirming the king's suspicions of covert communications among the three nations. His brow creased in turmoil, grasping the gravity of this secret conspiracy. This was not a meeting for trivial matters. King Tyrell knew what was coming was nothing compared to the conflict with the Empire 30 years ago. Bolstered by the kingdom's abundant resources, King Tyrell felt a robust readiness to confront the impending confrontation. He dispatched formal letters to each respective territory with a decisive command, initiating a calculated response to the revealed conspiracy. Amidst the fields whispering with the gentle caress of the breeze, the calm atmosphere of the 15-year-old Prince Arel was shattered upon reading the letter. His expression was concerned, making him wonder if his past deeds had unwittingly set forth a tidal wave of consequences. Sensing the abrupt change in Prince Arel, Dia questioned the sudden shadow on his appearance. Prince Arel shared the brewing storm on the horizon with a heavy sigh, signaling the urgent need to meet with Princess Cania. The impending chaos called for immediate action to be taken. Now, let me recap the recent events. The Demonil Kingdom expressed displeasure with Ernisia's current wealth due to Prince Arel's inventions and innovations. In response, they have sought to form alliances with other kingdoms to address this matter. The Merman Empire has also conveyed their unfavorable opinion of Prince Arel. After all, their paper monopoly is now coveted. While Seljukan have demonstrated their proficiency in combat, and have expressed interest in joining forces. Despite not having a solid camaraderie, this group would still collaborate to successfully overthrow Ernisia. Prince Arel, on the other hand, wondered if this was all caused by him. He felt responsible for his actions despite being driven by personal objectives. He was lost in contemplation and overwhelmed with a sense of hostility. Sitting across from him was Princess Cania, surprised at the unexpected alliance. While she may not know much about the Merman Empire, her recollection of their friendly relationships with other nations is not lost on her. Based on Princess Cania's observations, the alliance made them more suspicious, and she thought attacking them first would be justifiable. Prince Arel responded that her idea was excellent. However, obtaining clear evidence would be difficult since all the enemies had met secretly. The prince added that the enemies were not foolish enough to leave evidence behind, and he was relieved that they had caught wind of the situation. Although Prince Arel had anticipated the alliance, he had expected it to happen in around 5 years, and found the move ridiculous. Prince Arel expressed concern at the enemy's immediate resort to war as a solution, as it suggested a disregard for potential civilian casualties. This inclination towards war as a solution was frustrating, as it appeared to be the default option for people in general. Upon receiving unsettling news, Princess Kania noticed Prince Arel appeared preoccupied and asked about his well-being. In response, he offered a fleeting smile and acknowledged being lost in thought. Prince Arel then asked Princess Kania about her plans, catching her off guard. He suggested that it would be wise for her to return to the palace for her safety. Earlier, the king had sent him a letter requesting him to prevent Kania from engaging in the battle. Although the king couldn't help Prince Arel when he was younger, he still asked for his help to stop Princess Kania from going to war. Prince Arel emphasized that it wasn't about fleeing but ensuring her safety, and that in dire times, princesses were naturally stationed in safe areas because of their status. Princess Kania, however, rejected that idea. As Prince Arel changed his tone, he emphasized the grave nature of their circumstances. He suggested that if the situation arose, she would have to enter the battlefield and questioned if Princess Kania was okay with that idea. With a smirk, Princess Kania reminded the prince of her sworn duty to protect him. She didn't want to go to a safe place just because she was a princess. As a member of the royal family, Princess Kania pointed out that she should be the first one to stay. Surprised by her words, Prince Arel didn't expect to hear such wisdom from her. He understood the princess's feelings and promised to inform their father of her wishes. That letter would definitely shock the king. After all, Princess Kania is pretty reckless. In the castle lounge of Falia, Asha, Sena, and Dia were enjoying their drinks while discussing the possibility of war breaking out. Although Sena found war troublesome, Asha reminded her she had participated in a couple. Sena explained that she was swept into them in the past while roaming around the front lines, but her battles were small in comparison to what may come. Sena then asked Asha why she was still in Falia, mentioning that she had heard Asha's younger brother had recently joined the academy, and would have loved to see his joyous expression. Asha explained that, due to the potential threat of war, it was more mindful to delay meeting her brother until circumstances stabilized. However, Asha understood that her brother would understand the situation. Asha then pointed out that Sena was also putting off her vacation plans. Just before Asha could finish, Sena redirected the conversation and exchanged toast, knowing they might not have many more chances to do so. Soon, all the drinks disappeared, but not because of Sena or Asha. It was Dia. Feeling hungry, she decided to drink them all. Meanwhile, Prince Arel was busy preparing for the impending war. Even though it was not confirmed, he theorized that a war would likely break out within a year and feared that he might have to celebrate his next birthday on a battlefield if things didn't go according to plan. The main thing on Prince Arel's mind was Arnesia's chances of winning the war, as they were up against 3 countries. Drawing from his past experience as a former pro, he suspected that the enemy would probably send an army of approximately 600,000 to 700,000 soldiers to invade them. Assuming the kingdom of Arnesia would focus strictly on defense, they would have around 600,000 at most. It was impossible for Prince Arel to foresee the outcome of the war. In the worst-case scenario, he might have to secretly intervene. Since Prince Arel's main focus was on living a comfortable life despite being unable to guarantee peace even with the kingdom's protection, he understood that as a young lord who was weak and kind-hearted, the best way to survive the threat of war was to fortify his defenses with weapons and ensure that not even a single enemy could breach his paradise. Prince Arel pushed the doors open at Aiken's workshop and called out to him. However, he was startled by a hammer that narrowly missed his head. Prince Arel finally greeted Aiken's arrival at Fahelia, albeit a little late. However, Aiken immediately began to complain about his issues. Despite being satisfied with the workshop's location and luxurious facilities, Aiken found the local blacksmiths inferior. Prince Arel wondered if it was a misunderstanding of Aiken's instructions. But Aiken explained that they had passed out from working without sleep for 2 days. Although disappointed by the blacksmith's lack of stamina, he remained grateful to Prince Arel for sharing information about Damascus steel. The prince warned Aiken about the precision required to create it lest it be ruined. However, Prince Arel quickly changed the subject and informed Aiken of the reason behind his appearance. He requested Aiken to produce weaponry, which initially appeared to be straightforward. Yet, upon hearing the quantity required, Aiken was left dumbfounded. Prince Arel gradually retreated towards the door, knowing that Aiken was tasked with an unreasonably tricky assignment. As Aiken was about to unleash his anger, Prince Arel quickly fled the scene, narrowly avoiding a flying hammer. Aiken, however, was restrained by Ben, outraged by Prince Arel's brazen request for weapons and armor for 20,000 people. Outside, Prince Arel felt like he dodged a bullet, recognizing that if he persisted with such demands, he risked being fatally assaulted by Aiken in the future. Prince Arel's next destination was the slave market. Manager Ian greeted Prince Arel with open arms when he arrived sooner than expected, excited at the prospect of increased revenue from such a distinguished VIP. However, Prince Arel informed Manager Ian that his request would be out of the ordinary this time, and hoped he was prepared for it. Manager Ian reassured Prince Arel that he had already contacted all the merchants he could reach, so he was ready for anything. With his hand raised, Prince Arel casually requested 50,000 people, and wondered if this request was possible. Manager Ian was stunned at the request's magnitude and left dumbfounded. After all, this was 10 times more than his previous order. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay in the loop, remember to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more updates.